Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Ripples of Life. This is Henry, my guest for the evening, and I am your host, Danielle, on the channel Hope Arising. So, welcome back, Henry. Welcome back to the States. I know you fled the States because of the election, and you decided to come back.
Thanks, Danielle. Yes, I decided that living in the U.S. wasn't that bad after all.
Well, that's a good thing, except you're leaving again shortly. So,
Saturday, right? I could help but to take that opportunity to play a little joke on people, and because with the whole election and everything, for those of you that are watching that don't know, so I spent the last week up in Canada, and it was actually for multiple reasons. Visit some relatives of mine, who I believe are watching actually tonight, and to visit another friend, a longtime past roommate of mine, to get him a tower garden, and then another past roommate for a wedding. So I've actually visited like 10 different locations over the past 7 days.
and
But
you
as
didn't
I
get
was
lost.
leaving sorry, what did you say?
And you didn't get lost.
And I cannot say that I did not get lost. At least once. But yeah, as Danielle said, fleeing the country last Tuesday, which a lot of you know that we had an important election happening. Then at the border, I went Facebook Live and kind of told everyone that I was fleeing the country because I was upset about all the arguing that was happening. And some people thought I was serious.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. I showed up to this morning's presentation and several people said, we thought that you actually were leaving the country because you were so upset about how the election was going. I told them, no, there are a lot of people who say that they're going to, that they were going to leave if their candidate didn't win. And so I was kind of making fun of them.
That's funny.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for having me back on the show.
Well, thanks for coming back on the show. So I wanted to start off tonight with a few Henryisms.
Oh, no.
So I've known you for about 10 years. And throughout those 10 years, there's been a lot of different Henry stories. And you can't deny it. And I just thought I would share just a few of them because I know people would find them very amusing.
You want me to share them?
Yeah, I do want you to share them. So I thought of the one where the police showed up in my parking lot.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
This is actually a really good one. That was a good one. So Danielle, actually, we know each other through church, and we've been in the same small group for quite some time now. And this was probably about, I think it was around 2015-ish, when I was going through a transformational period of my life, where I was really learning about different things that were holding me back. I was exploring new possibilities that I had never really opened those doors to, in terms of career seeking, relationships, just mending relationships that I had broken in the past, just a whole slew of things. And during that period of time, on a Wednesday night Bible study, we have an icebreaker that was given to us. And the icebreaker was, when have you experienced God? Or when describe a time when you felt closest to God? And so we went around the table, and each of us shared an experience. It was when we were out on the lake fishing with my dad, or climbing mountains, in the middle of the Rockies, or whatever that looked like. And then we were about to jump right back, jump right into the meat of the Bible study. But I kind of paused everyone and said, you know what? That was awesome. I never knew some of those stories that you guys shared about when you felt closest to God. I would love to dive more into that and hear more instances. And so we shared again and again. And the reoccurring theme was that it was somewhere out in nature. It wasn't like I was sitting at my desk at work staring at my computer. It was usually, out in the forest or out near water or something like that. And we never actually got into the Bible study. We only went around for the icebreaker. But in doing so, Danielle decided that it would be appropriate to share a sermon entitled it was entitled Resonance to Resurrection. Resonance as in vibration. And it was so timely because at that time of my life, up until that time of my life, me being a science teacher, human anatomy, physiology, biologies, chemistries, all that kind of stuff, very natural, hard sciences, right? I had always struggled with the other side of that, with when people ask, well, how do you defend yourself as a Christian when you know all the science behind it too, and don't those two worlds collide a lot? And so I've received that question for the whole 15 years in the classroom. And that night, listening to that sermon series in my car was the first time that I had realized the missing link. And it was such a good sermon series that I decided, instead of driving home and listening to it, that I would stay in the parking lot and take notes and annotate it and listen to it again. I think I may have listened to that twice, pausing and indexing it to the point where maybe 2 hours later, I hear a knock on my car window and a bright, blinding light from a cop asking, are you okay? And he said there were two people who had reported me or someone overdosing, passed out in their car. And I told him, I'm very much alive. And I'm actually listening to this amazing sermon about resonance to resurrection. Would you like to hear it? So I started telling him about all this this fusion of the spiritual and physical world, which has brought me to a really a stage of enlightenment when I think about it. And to this day, I've shared that sermon series with dozens of people. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, he had his head down for so many hours that my neighbors thought that he had overdosed, and they were calling in a welfare check on him.
No ticket, didn't get arrested, and I got to share a very cool sermon with a cop.
That was about 2020, 2021 is when that happened.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
So
no, you're right. The other sermon series I was referring to was The Meaning of Marriage. That's a really good one too. Yeah.
So the other story I was thinking of was the Georgia story.
I know that one. Okay, so our discipleship group, our D group, if you will, that's the name that we call our Bible study. It travels down annually down to North Carolina, to a place called Holden Beach, right across the border from Myrtle Beach. And during this time, I had made a lot of different friends through my company, Juice Plus, and through an emotional intelligence leadership training called Next Level Trainings. And so I have a special friend who she and her husband have gone through both of those, and they have experienced a lot of really cool revelations like I had through the combination of those programs. And I had never actually met them in real life. And so I thought, well, shoot, I'm going down to South Carolina. They live in South Carolina. I'm going to surprise them. And one of my, I guess, pupils, if you will, was the wife. And so I communicated with the husband, hey, I'm going to, in South Carolina, I would love to drop in and surprise her. And so he and I coordinated this. What I didn't know is that South Carolina happens to be a very big state.
You were in North Carolina, though. You were traveling to North
yes.
Carolina.
Which makes it even more ridiculous. So I figured, well, I'm right at the border of South Carolina, so I'll just hop in over to South Carolina, which is the very East Coast, and I will start heading west to where they live. And I think it was 4 or 5 hours later, I ended up, surprising them at their house. And I did not know at the time, but I was actually in Georgia. So our group pretty frequently teases me for my. They say that I'm directionally challenged, but I feel like I'm pretty good with my direction. Didn't know that I was in Georgia at the time.
Yeah. That happens sometimes. You just end up in random states.
Yeah.
Well, that is a perfect segue because I want to know about what happened after you left teaching and what happened after 2015?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, where do I start? Gosh. First of all, I think it's notable that I was going through a period of time again that I was searching for a bigger meaning. And I happened to be down in Albuquerque, New Mexico, visiting my brother and his wife. And I think that was a period of time where I was very deeply in prayer. And so, when we take the time to slow down and really pray, and by pray, I mean not just talk, right? Pray is a way of communicating with God. It's a two-way conversation. And I think too often we think, oh, well, prayer means we sit down in a given time in a given circumstance, like dinner, and just say a quick prayer out of a religious context, like I'm supposed to do this. But really, the deeper level of prayer is listening to God's response in return. And I found myself on top of a mountain. Because my brother and his wife Karen, they live right up against the mountains, and so I climbed up to the top of this mountain, and we enjoyed sunset from up there. And I just remember praying to God, God, like, give me a sign, like, just tell me very, very clearly of what you want me to do and where you want me to go and where you want me to be. And I can't tell you exactly what words it was, but he made it feel so peaceful that um, when I asked, like, is there another place that you have me other than the classroom? And that overwhelming peace made it so easy to say yes. So I remember climbing down from that mountain, went back to Ohio, and I announced that I was leaving the classroom literally that next day. And people ask me all the time, do you miss teaching? And teaching is something that is what I call a spiritual gift.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you look at a spiritual gifts assessment that involves 13 gifts or 31 gifts or 33, 34 strengths finders. I mean, there's all sorts of different assessments that you can take out there. But there's gifts that are God-given, that you're born with. And there's skills that you can develop. And I feel like teaching is one of those that I feel is a gift that he's given me.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't necessarily need to be confined to the walls of a classroom.
Right.
I realized that I had been teaching in every context of my life, on the snow slopes of Mad River and snow trails, teaching people how to snowboard, teaching people how to ride motorcycles, teaching people how to do marching band. I was a marching band director for a few years, softball, coaching men's volleyball. And, when people ask me today, do you miss teaching? I'm like, I love that I get to teach every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I did a couple presentations earlier today, this morning, right off the bat, to a group of seniors. And I tell you, this group of seniors was so engaged, and just teaching them how to live past 100 years old. So do I do I miss teaching? No, because I get to teach every single day, every single
Right.
one. And so that brings us to today, which is, what I'm teaching now. I teach people how to live past 100 years old, strong and long. I teach people how to um, to uh, to uh, to overcome the struggles of unhealthy habits and replace them with healthy habits that serve them versus things that don't support them. I'm an international coaching federation trained life coach. So, supporting people in discovering what their dreams are, their vision for their life, from ages 12 all the way through 96. Life does not stop just because you're over 80 or 90 or even 100, right?
Yep.
So I've started going more so into the area of coaching, which is super fascinating to me, because to me, coaching is such a deeper, higher level than even teaching. And teaching is appropriate in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that coaching is a much more powerful, sustainable um, modality, if you will, or um, approach to growth.
So how are you teaching or coaching them?
Yeah, so I guess to address that, we first have to define the difference between the two, right? And so when you look at a spectrum, right, there's teaching on one end, and teaching on one end means, like, as a student, you come to my classroom, right, and I determine this is what you're going to learn, this is how you're going to learn it, this is how you're going to show me that you've learned it by whatever assessment. And if you didn't learn it to the proficiency that I wanted you to learn it, then you're going to do this remediation in order to learn what I wanted you to learn, so then you can show me that you've actually learned what I wanted you to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So it is instructor led, right? It is instructor facilitated, and coaching is on the other end of that spectrum. Coaching is completely client led. The client comes in and says, this is this is where I'd like to go today. And the teacher would say, okay, well, if that's where you want to go, then this is what you're going to do, and this is what you're and so coaching takes the opposite approach. Coaching allows the client to take the step forward, and by asking, we call it deep level engaging questions, right? So there's if you look at International Coaching Federation, there's 3 parts to a coaching session, and the first part is coming up with an agreement, what the coach what the client wants to take care of that day, what they want to accomplish within that half an hour or hour. And that client will then take a step forward, and the coach takes off the blinders, helps to take off that blinders. So instead of looking at certain options, then now the client can see that there are infinite possibilities. And it's not that the teacher chooses which door to go through. As a coach, then asking those questions so that the client clearly understands which of those doors serves him or her best. And in many cases, there's no wrong or right answer. The coach doesn't attach him or herself to being right. Is like, I'm asking questions to engage the client in discovering for themselves what they want, where they want to go, how to get there, and what action to take in order to achieve that.
So it could be anywhere from like, I want to lose 5 pounds, to I want to open my own business, to I want to repair my relationship with X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. And those are great examples. The hundreds of people that I've coached in the past now, they fit that mold, right? They're hungry for some sort of change. They know that something, there's something more available out there. Like you said, whether it's some sort of a physical improvement, right? Or something that is relational, and so building up their relational equity, or they want to dive deeper into their spiritual relationship with God. Some people want to develop their career, whether that's owning their own business or working their way up the corporate ladder. And I've coached a huge variety of all of those between those spectrums. So, and again, ages 12 was my youngest client. And, she's 15 now, but, and so in that case, it's a very different set of parameters, right? They're not seeking to, they're not seeking the same thing as a CEO of a nonprofit. They are seeking, for this one in particular, like, what is my purpose, in life? What do I want to do with the rest of my life? Or is it okay exploring right now?
Right.
Relationships with his brother and his sister, how to enhance that. And not to say not to say that anything's wrong with it, but every single president, every single athlete, you look at the top athletes of the world,
Mm-hmm.
the top business performers of the world, they got there because they had coaches.
Right.
And every one of those individuals would attribute their success because they had coaches that were able to see their blind spots. They were able to ask them questions. They were able to, um, you know, engage them to push them harder than they thought that they could without. Not to say that the coach is a better performer than
Mm-hmm.
that person, like Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan had many, many, many coaches. His coaches, not a single one of them was a better basketball player than he was. But he understands, right? He understood that the if he didn't have a coach, then he wouldn't be developing as fast as he would if he didn't, as if he had one.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So what would be like the average like cost of, coaching with you
Mhm.
if they would want to, if somebody
Yeah,
watching tonight wanted to pursue that?
yeah. So it varies, right? I mean, if you're someone who has a lot of experience, I mean, some people pay a pretty penny for coaching. Someone with what we call an MCC, a Masters of Coaching, that is something like 2,500 hours of experience and a ton of classroom, and you've sat for the test and all that kind of stuff. Some
Mm-hmm.
of these people that are MCC, ICF certified, International Coaching Federation certified, um, you know, you would hire that person to fly with you on your personal plane and coach you for, that hour that you have on the flight from Chicago to LA. And so some of these coaches, they'll charge $2,500 an hour.
Oh wow.
Um, but it's worth it if that person, you look at this, you look at the value that
Right.
that 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 brings to that CEO. Um, the value that it brings to the athlete, the value that it brings to the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, anyone can call themselves a life coach. You can call yourself a life coach, right? But
Mm-hmm.
just like a home inspector, right? You and I can both be home inspectors. We are official home inspectors. Even though we know nothing about home inspecting, we have had no training whatsoever, we can call them ourselves home inspectors. So if someone's wanting to sell their house and inspect their home, they could come to one of us, or they could go to a certified home inspector, someone
Mm-hmm.
who knows what they're doing because they've gone through all of the certification processes, and they know how to do it right. And that's similarly to life coaching. Life coaching, there's a very high standard of life coaching called ICF, and they call it an International Coaching Federation for a reason. It's the standard of coaching worldwide.
Okay.
And there's certain classroom hours you go through, mentor hours you go through, coaching, paid and non hours that you go through. You sit for your assessment, you write your papers. It's a um, it's an accredited certification. Um, and so at my level, most people charge anywhere from 150 to 250 an hour.
Wow.
Depending on my relationship with that client, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, I'll work out some sort of deal where it is, instead of, um, 150 an hour, if they would like to, um, they'd like to bring on their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coaching both of them. Then sometimes I'll knock off 25 or $50 off an hour. But it can, you look at what is the value of the relationships in your life? What is
Right.
the value of advancing in your career? Or what is the value of, um, you know, transforming your body so you can, walk outside confidently in your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you get what you pay for.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can hire a coach that, is charging $10 an hour. And you're probably not
Right.
But every single time I sit down with a client, they expect, we both expect them to have major breakthroughs with action plan, in hand out the
Mm-hmm.
door. And so then they're excited. Like, you know, um, I have this one client who, um, we go through the coming up with agreement. We go through and we evoke all the awareness, and so she learns all these things about herself during that process, and then she comes up with that action plan for herself and accountability process for that. And I always ask, by when? And she says, well, I'm super excited about this. I'll get this done by next Wednesday, right? In a week from today. And I know that doesn't mean that she's going to get it done by next Wednesday. I know that really means she's going to text me a picture of it tonight, and she's going to have it all color coded and everything, because that's how excited they leave.
Right.
Like, they're hungry for growth, and those are my favorite clients.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
So what else do? You have many different hats, literally and figuratively.
I wear many hats. Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because the other day my friend Chris, he says, Henry, it's so funny. I was at the grocery store and I ran into someone that knows you, and we were talking about you, and he says, oh yeah, that's the Bibby Bop guy. And then he says, and then I was at the golfing range and I ran into someone else who knows you, and he said, yeah, that's the salad in a jar guy. And then I was at church, and and we started talking about you, Henry, and someone said, oh yeah, he's that pickleball guy. And I know it's laughable to you, because like, all these hats,
Right.
you see all these hats. And so it's interesting when you think about what is our legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
At your funeral, what are people going to come and say about you? What would they write on your tombstone, right? And
Accidentally went to Georgia.
yeah, I mean, they can be silly ones like that, or even some not so not some that maybe you wouldn't be proud of either, right?
Right. Well, last night that almost ended up being true for you.
Yeah. Coming back from Canada on the highway, coming down from Cleveland, a car, traveling 70 miles an hour on the wrong side of the highway, almost, head on into me. I'm so glad that I was quick enough to get into the right lane.
Yeah.
And I know my dad might be watching. I didn't tell you, Dad, for a very good reason. I didn't want you to worry.
Sorry, Dad.
Sorry. But yeah, if you were to ask, that question in a different words, right? What hats do you wear? It's like, how do people know Henry? I'd imagine a lot of people would say, you know, Henry's the guy that absolutely was obsessed about pickleball, not because of, the sport, or the sound of the ball, which I actually think there's an addiction to that. I think the frequency at which the ball hits the paddle actually releases a bit of dopamine in the human brain that is not based on any kind of scientific evidence, but I feel that it's going to be proven one day.
I think you just need ASMR for pickleball.
ASMR.
Like you just need the sound of that, the ball hitting the bat and paddle, and just play it over and over again on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, people would say pickleball is one of those things that Henry was obsessed about because of the community that it brings.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's one of the underlying themes that um, that all of my passions have in common is that they bring people together.
Yep. Very
Even to
much so
Baby
for you.
Bop itself. I stood outside for 2 grand openings of Bibi Bop and got 2 free years of these Korean-inspired Chipotle bowls, and, I was actually there today. So, um,
Those of
surprise,
you who
surprise.
don't know who what Bibimbap is, it's like an Asian Chipotle. So like you would go through and you choose like if you want rice, and then you choose your protein, and then you choose your toppings. So
Mhm,
it's an Asian Chipotle basically.
yep, and it's, I promote the thing because and it's funny because people come to me all the time and they say, "Hey, um, I didn't know you worked for Chi for Bibi Bop." I don't. It's just when I see something good, then I can't help but share it.
Right.
And so, like even today, I made a video about my experience at Bibi Bop. A lot of you have been asking me about different healthy alternatives for places to eat, and this is one of my favorite restaurants. This is called Bibi Bop. If you have not followed me on Instagram or Facebook and learned about Bibi Bop, this is one of my favorites because it holds many different health stamps. As you can see on the wall, it is 100% gluten free, and I just learned from the general manager at Baowen that even the employees, if they have their lunch that has gluten in it, they're not allowed to take it behind the counter. They're very strict
Oh
with
wow.
all of their health codes here. And so this is a 5-minute video that I recorded about the fact that they're gluten-free, peanut allergy-free, um,
Hmm.
cage-free eggs, and vegan and vegetarian options, non-dairy, like all that stuff. And
Hmm.
it's just something so healthy, and it brings people. Um, my hope is it brings people joy, because it's going to enhance their life and allow them to spend more time on this earth with their families.
Hmm.
And so I
Right.
take people to Bibi Bop all the time. um, yeah, people call me the salad in a jar guy, because I host a lot of healthy eating parties and help
Hmm.
people, um, to cook something healthy, to try something new, and bring it to the potluck, and they write down their recipe. And so you can, you got 20 people in a room, and every single person brings a healthy dish, and you define what healthy would look like, and you get to try all these dishes instead of having to waste your money and time making something that you don't know whether you're going to like it or not, with all these spices that you only use a fraction of, and now they're going to sit in your cupboard forever, just rotting.
Hmm.
Then you can try some of these healthy dishes. And if you like it, then you can take a picture of the recipe, talk to the person who made it, and then you can actually go out and get the ingredients and make it yourself. And the ones that you didn't like, then don't bother wasting your money on and time creating something like that.
Right.
Um, so again, people gathering is a passion of mine, especially in the space of healthy living.
Right.
I absolutely love teaching about that topic. Again, this morning I taught to a bunch of seniors,
Hmm.
and teaching them about the value of putting in our bodies what God put on this planet. We are what we eat, instead
Right.
of substituting it with these man-made vitamins. I call them like God-made fruits and vegetables for our bodies.
Hmm.
Um, and the truth is that fruits and vegetables aren't just good for you. They are so good for you that they could save your life. Versus man playing God is called a multivitamin.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why we take vitamins is because we don't get what we know we should be getting from food. So we feel like we need to supplement it with these vitamins. But the vitamins are a fraction, not even a fraction, of what our bodies actually need. I mean, you're looking at the scale of 20 vitamins and minerals in a multivitamin versus in an apple is 10,000 phytonutrients. You know, which one would you rather have? 10 or sorry, 20, you know, in a multivitamin, $20 or $10,000. Like it's not even on the same level, the playing field.
Right.
So that's another thing that I do is I help people empower. I empower them with vehicles to deliver what God put on this planet to your cells in the form of powdered foods, powdered fruits and vegetables, and so you can live longer and stronger. So
That's awesome.
mhm.
Can you tell us about um, that company?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the company that I most align myself with is a company called Juice Plus, the Juice Plus company. Um, this is our logo here, and it's not something that I came up with. It's actually a very simple concept that was if you remember the Jetsons back in the 50s, George Jetson would go up to this vending machine, push the button, and a pill would drop out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not just any pill. This pill, when you drop a piece of water or drop a drop of water on it, and then it blew up into an entire meal. That was science fiction. And now it's reality. We take food, dehydrate it at low temperatures, and it and at while you dehydrate it at low temperatures using wind versus heat, is to maintain the integrity of all the phytonutrients and enzymes. Then the sugar crystallizes, and so you can sweep off some of that, and you end up with all of the intercellular contents of kale, tomatoes, broccoli, cabbage, spinach, peach, mango, pear, pineapple, and you can fit an entire orange into a very, 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 very tiny volume of space because plants are mostly water and sugar. You get rid of that, you can actually fit an entire piece of fruit into a very, very tiny capsule. And so that's what we
Mm-hmm.
do. We know that we don't get enough fruits and vegetables in our diet, and we know that most people would agree that we should be eating healthier, but we don't for many reasons because it is inconvenient. It doesn't fit in our lifestyle. It's too expensive. Eating healthy is a chore. It's difficult. It's challenging because there's so many confusing things out there of what to eat and what not to eat. But the bottom line is, like, if we could eat healthier, then we would.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a vehicle that you can actually get all those phytonutrients, all those fruits and vegetables into your blood through 4 simple capsules, and that's what they look like. And
Yeah, I was
so
going to
those
ask
are
you to
also,
show them. So.
yeah, I carry them around in my pocket all the time. So, you know, and there's no need for vitamins anymore because vitamins are a tiny, not even a fraction of what we need in our body. So this is all the fruits, this is all the vegetables, those are all berries, and they all play a different role in the body, right? Um, when you look at, I love this sheet, and maybe we can put it in the caption or something, and I can, you know, if you're interested, you can email me and I can share this with you. But we've put
Mm-hmm.
together this document, and this document shows you the power of plants. And so, you know, I showed you the purple one is the berries. The berries have pomegranate and blueberry and cranberry and bilberries, blackberries, blackcurrants, and yeah, those are nice and colorful. And most people would be able to tell you, oh yeah, berries are are good for you, but they wouldn't be able to tell you specifically why. So this sheet, what it does is it tells you on the first column the anatomy of these berries. What is it made of? That's anatomy, the structure. The second column shows you the physiology. Physiology is what it does for you. So anatomy is the structure, what it's made of, and physiology is what it does. That's what people care about,
Right.
right?
So it'd be like,
There's
oh, it lowers blood pressure, or it helps with
yeah,
inflammation, or
exactly. And I know this is sort of small for you to read, so I'll go through one of them for you. So this is Concord grapes. Concord grapes. When I'm walking past them at the grocery store, because I look at Concord grapes and those are kind of expensive. Okay. But if I know that they aid in the treatment of asthma, that they prevent heart disease, that they reduce migraines and fatigue, that they prevent macular degeneration in your eyes, that they are good for eye health in general, that they aid in digestion, and they promote kidney health, then I'm going to think twice about skipping those Concord grapes. And that's just Concord grapes.
right.
That's what they do for you. And then, so some of these are Alzheimer's and dementia. I have Alzheimer's and dementia rampant throughout my family on my mom's side and my dad's side, right? And so this is what I do as a morning routine. I get up in the morning and I eat my capsules, and I carry my capsules throughout the day because I know that my genetics code for Alzheimer's. I know I have it in my DNA. The reason why I don't express Alzheimer's currently at this moment is because I'm not activating that part of the DNA. And so what this has been proven to do is it activates and deactivates certain sections of your DNA in order for it to be expressed or to be suppressed, right? So just because you have the cancer gene, let's say you have the BRC1 or the breast cancer gene, doesn't mean that you have breast cancer, but it does mean that if you don't fuel your body with the right nutrients to suppress that gene, then it'll be expressed later on in life. And so cancer runs in my family, Alzheimer's and dementia runs in my family, heart disease and heart attacks, took away my grandma. And so I know that I have these genetics in my blood. And so, again, when I wake up in the morning, I eat my capsules because I know what they're going to do for me. Not because I love the taste of capsules, right? No one wakes up in the morning and you're like, man, I can't wait to swallow capsules.
Now the gummies I've had, those are good.
And the gummies, yeah. So each one of these, the fruits, veggies, and berries, they have an equal equivalent in a gummy form, which is pretty cool because the gummies, they taste great. Kids can eat them. You can't overdose on them because they're literally food.
Right.
And you can eat the entire package of vegetable gummies, which is very easy to do. And the worst thing will happen is you end up pooping a lot. That's it. It's food. You literally cannot overdose on apples and peaches and kale.
Right.
You can overdose on a multivitamin because
Right.
it's not real vitamin A. The scientists have been able to create something that looks very similar to vitamin A, but it doesn't actually mimic beta carotene. So if you look at the side of a multivitamin, you'll see that one, it says supplement facts or drug facts. And on that drug facts, it'll say 400% vitamin A, your RDA, recommended daily allowance. Why in the world would they allow you to eat something that is 400% of the recommended daily allowance? Right? Well, it's because they know that not all of it is going to be absorbed in the body. Most of it's going to pass through your stomach, your intestines, and you're going to poop it out. You have expensive poop. what does get absorbed, the small fraction of the fake vitamin A, right, circulates in the blood and it doesn't get absorbed into the cells where it's needed. It gets filtered out by your kidney, and then you end up peeing it out. So now you have expensive poop and you have expensive pee. And the small fraction that is absorbed into the cells, then some of that, the body, the cells don't recognize because it's not actual beta carotene. It's man playing God. And so sometimes it uses some of it, but not all of it. And so at the end of the day, you need to eat 400% of fake vitamin A in order to get 4% vitamin A.
Right.
Because the rest of it's pooped out and peed out.
Right.
Now, if we would take the time to actually eat the apple, right? The real God-made beta carotene, then 100% of it would be absorbed into the cells from the bloodstream, would be recognizable by our cells, and then used by the tissue to do what God designed it to do. And that's what this is. So you look at an apple really only has about, I think it's like 15 milligrams. I forget what the measurement is, but let's say 15 units of vitamin C. Okay. Versus if you're taking a pill of it that was man-made, you get more from the 15 units of an apple than you would a 1,500 in a pill form.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is not a pill form. This is food. It's actual food. And we're not vitamin deficient. We're whole food deficient. So this replaces the need for all of that. Plus, I know a lot of people who, including myself, I used to have to take different drugs for my inflammation in my knees, from being in marching band and volleyball and diving on the courts and snowboarding. And so I don't have any of those knee problems anymore. I've gotten off of all my drugs because I actually provide my body with the food
Mm-hmm.
that it was designed to run off of.
Right.
So that's in a
So there's also a component. Well, I guess they've branched off now, but tower gardens is something else that you're big on.
Yeah. So Tower Gardens is another branch of Juice Plus. I consider it a leg, if you will. So if you look at Juice Plus as an overlying umbrella company, then you end up with one leg of that is Juice Plus Essentials, and those are fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And then you have another leg that's called Tower Garden, and Tower Garden is pretty cool because it does the same thing. It allows you to get as many plants into the bloodstream as possible using a simple tool, but instead of grinding it up into a powder, you ended up growing it yourself. So this is what a Tower Garden looks like. And I would show you mine, but I've already taken mine down. I put a couple of them up in Toronto yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is the basin. It's got 20 gallons of water, and then there's a center column that goes up here. It pumps water to the top, and then it trickles down over the roots, and you end up with your tomatoes and cucumbers and pumpkins, your kale and lettuces in the middle, and your shards climbing to the top, and all your herbs, your cilantros and parsleys and mint and chives and stuff. So people are always asking me, so do you have to know how to garden or a background in garden? And I'm like, no, actually, this is the easy button to gardening. In fact, it's so easy that someone like me that kills everything. I mean, my friend Karen once gave me a cactus.
Hold on, you're over your microphone.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I was my friend gave me a cactus, and knowing that it takes minimal care, and I killed the stupid cactus. So
you watered it too much, I'm guessing.
I don't know what I did, but this is easy, right? I take the water, I put it in here, I plug it into the wall and it grows all my food. And then this is a skinnier model. This is called the Tower Garden Home. And so you have all the microgreens on the top, and then all your big plants down on the bottom.
And the lights.
Yep, put the lights on. You take the lights
Yep.
off. There's no screws or anything, and you put the lights on this one instead.
Yep.
Or you can take that one and put it outside on the concrete because it doesn't have wheels on it, but you can put wheels on it. So, one of these things, if you were to look at the cost savings of this, you can calculate it anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500 worth of groceries in 1 year grown on a tower, on a single tower. And the thing doesn't cost $2,500 to $3,500. It costs about $1,000. And so you're actually saving money by having one, and you're wasting money by not.
Here is a picture of a tower garden that has lights and everything on it.
Oh yeah. Where'd you get that?
That is not mine. That is a friend of ours.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we have some good friends that got a tower, and they have it up in their living room.
Yep.
Yeah, I helped them set that one up too.
Yep. So you have Tower Garden, you have life coaching, you have Juice Plus. Or is there any other hats that you're wearing currently?
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
You're like, how much time do you have?
Right. I run something called a connected group, and it's exactly that. I connect people. So it's a group that allows people to come into the same space, and connect at a level of making new friends, finding new resources, and supporting each other in life, in growing their businesses, in growing their friendships, and they're deepening their relationships. Some people call it a network group. Some people call it a social group. It branched off of something called a connected networking group. And my specific passion is in the area of fitness, because obviously that aligns with my whole, health and wellness. And so what I found was a lot of people, they want to expand their circles and their friends groups, but they have two very big challenges in doing so. So they work all day, and then afterwards they're like, yeah, I want to go to this group and make new friends and expand my circles and grow my business, or find new resources, but because I spent all day working, then I didn't have time to spend with my family, my kids, my spouse. And so all of my events in something I call connected fitness, connected fit for short, are open to the entire family. They're kid friendly, they're family friendly. And you can come into that space, and knowing that your kids are gonna, be engaged as well. The other excuse that I hear very commonly is, I want to go to something like this and expand my networks, but I haven't been to the gym in a long time. And so we do this in the space of fitness. So now there's no excuse for not working out or anything. You come with your family and we ride bikes together, or we walk in the park together, or we learn ballroom dance together, or we go bowling together. I mean, if you look at the variety of events that we've held thus far, just in 2024, we did an intro to rock climbing. We did a sand volleyball. We've done pickleball. We have done a stair climb together. We've done bring your own dog, BYOD, to the dog park. And so you can meet other families and get exercise while doing it, get some fresh air, get outside and enjoy the sun. And all the while meeting other families, meeting other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why my epitaph would probably, read something like, "Here lies Henry, people gather."
It's very true with you.
So that's another hat. Another hat. So I mentioned before, there's something called Next Level Trainings,
Mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence series of workshops, if you will. I know that's sort of that description doesn't do it justice. It's really a transformational training sequence, but it really gets you out of your head, out of your own way, and allows you to push yourself beyond what you seemingly thought was your potential, outside of your comfort zone, to accomplish humongous feats. For instance, in a single year, then I went through 4 cycles of supporting students in creating massive results in their lives, in their personal lives, and coming together as a group to support a nonprofit of their choice. And one of those nonprofits was ending homelessness in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a group of people that, you know, are brand new to each other, have known each other less than, than a couple months, and they now have created from scratch a fundraiser to raise $120,000 for, a nonprofit that ends homelessness in Ohio. Another organization that we supported was, let's see, it was um, providing healthcare, affordable healthcare to people in inner city Columbus um, that couldn't otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what your skin color, gender, age, and just breaking down those barriers of segregation to provide affordable healthcare. Another one was helping families and their loved ones that have cancer to pay their bills, their non-medical bills, so they don't have to make a choice on whether to get chemotherapy or keep the electricity on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, when you look at this small group of 18, people, and you think, man, how are they in a very small amount of time too? We're talking about like 2 to 3 weeks, complete strangers that have just met, but have gone through leadership training together to raise, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like it's pretty cool to be able to coach students into doing that,
Oh wow.
so they can see they can literally, see their greatness
Mm-hmm.
was underlying all that, all those that armor, all those lies that they've been telling themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's really
yeah.
cool.
That's another hat that I wear. I can go on and on. I can probably another hat for you. But those are some of them that I'm very passionate about. Oh, I know one. I don't know how I didn't. I cannot mention this.
You cannot not
I
mention it.
cannot not mention this. Double negative. Um, I actually just came from my brother's birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because when I get together with my siblings, then they all kind of they sit down and or talk together with themselves and their spouses, And then you look over and you see all the kids and me. And, so I sit at the kids' table. I roll around in the mud with them. I'm the one creating forts with them all the time.
Mhm.
You know, and so my nephews and nieces, I got 4 of them. They are ages 6, 5, 4, and 3. So you can imagine they are a handful. But I absolutely love it because, when they see me, it's so funny. Because, something just takes over their
Mhm.
energy, their body, and they just drop whatever they're doing and they go, "Uncle!" And they run up and they just like jump on me. And I know that that's probably not going to last forever. Um,
Right.
but I'm very thoroughly enjoying that in this stage of my life. And it's the stage of their lives. And I dish that energy level right back at them.
Right.
Um, yeah, is it exhausting? It can be. But I tell you, like, it is one of my favorite feelings in the world when, I get to show up and they just, again, just uncontrollably run at me and just
Mhm.
jump on me. And then all of a sudden, like, nothing else matters,
Right.
you know? So,
I did want to ask you about an organization that you work with in Texas.
yeah, so off and on, there's a really cool nonprofit down there, um, east of Dallas, Texas, called Pure Hope Foundation. And Pure Hope is run by my good friend. Can I say your name?
If you want to, that's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, I think it wouldn't be doing it wouldn't be doing her justice if I didn't mention her. Her name is Catherine Lee, and Catherine um, started out very, very famous in our Juice Plus company. What she is more notably known for is um, the fight against human trafficking, and um, and so I first learned about her through our Juice Plus company because we support that's one of our main nonprofits that we support, in addition to Boys and Girls Club of America, Volunteers of America, and St. Jude's Hospital. But um, Pure Hope Foundation uh, is a place. It's an organization. It is um, a safe space for those who have um, been victims and are now reprogramming um, themselves and reestablishing their identity in Christ, um, and getting back up on their feet, and going even further than that, taking the next step into, not just getting up on their feet, but really becoming um, like these contributors of society. I mean, some of these are incredible women. One of them started her own nonprofit. Another one writes songs and had just published her first song last year. Just a beautiful song. I cry every single time I listen to it. Um, it's "Who Told You That?" Um, and there's another one. Another one of the survivors. She's gone through dental school, and now
Oh
she's
wow.
a dental assistant. And so these women, they come in and um, they there's 4 pillars that they have down there. Um, it's an acronym, RISE. Um, so rise. Um, so R is relationships. They establish relationships. They redefine what healthy relationships are with themselves, with each other, um, and with God. The I is their identity in Christ, and so they are they learn that they are not objects, that we are all children of God, that we um, no one owns or can ever own us. Um, and I love that that is an integral piece. That's really the foundation of um, the entire foundation. And so everyone does their devotions in the morning. Um, they are they get very in tune with what God wants for their lives. Now the S is skills, so they learn basic skills that a lot of us take for granted, right? How to do your laundry, how to fix your bed, your own bed, how to take care of your own bathroom. A lot of them have never had a bathroom to their own. They've always stayed with their other um, trafficked um, women,
Mm-hmm.
so they do a very, very good job of giving them their space, like their own space that they can call home, a safe space to call home. And then E, I love this one, is exchange. Exchange in perception, exchange in words, the meaning of words, like family. To them, in the past, family, meant your trafficker. Your
Mm-hmm.
family meant, the others that you're serving with, right? Um, and so, what does a healthy family look like? Or holidays, right? Holidays is a very difficult time because during the holidays, that's when you might, be sleeping with 10 guys a night, and those are your assignments, and because that's the prime season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to you and I, holiday means, getting together and celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving and family and gifts and um, Christmas carols and traditions. So um, that that E in Rise, exchange, um, is a very, very important one and takes 7 years on average to
Oh
reprogram.
wow.
So yeah, so RISE, the relationships, identity in Christ, skills, and exchange. So I absolutely love that. The ranch itself, if you ever get a chance to head down there, it's a very unique experience that I'll never forget, and I'll continue going down there. Um, is you enter onto this ranch and it's a mansion. On the first floor is the retreat center, and that's where I did my first retreat with them back in September of last year. And um, the top floor is all the different rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the survivors um, are we don't refer to them as survivors anymore in house. They we refer to them as interns because they're students. They're learning and they graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So the interns, they'll take care of all the housekeeping and stuff like that on upstairs, while the retreat is going on downstairs, and they keep that very separate, for notable reasons. But
Mm-hmm.
the beauty behind my experience down there is that um, they during my retreat, there were some individuals that were not part of our Juice Plus company. There were
Mm-hmm.
30 of us in our Juice Plus company, but there were other individuals that had white name tags that we didn't recognize. And we were given um, this piece of information after the first day that those wearing white name tags were the interns. And
Oh
so the
wow.
first training in 14 years of this organization that the interns were able to be part of in the same space, in the same room as our training, because Catherine Lee knew all of us personally.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool.
That is really cool.
And since I've been down there a couple times and definitely, love supporting that nonprofit. Not like there's not, other nonprofits that aren't worthy of
Mhm.
support, but that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what is next for you, Henry?
What's next? You mean on Saturday or like I'm going to Italy for a couple weeks, so that's gonna be
Well,
good.
that's true. You're going to get lost in Italy or other countries, I'm sure.
I will I think I will purposely get lost.
You might end up in the country of Georgia.
Um there is there a country named Georgia?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. What's next? That's a good question. You know, there's a lot of us that think, oh, I have to have this big goal, and I have to have, a 5 year and 10 year plan mapped out. And it is, it's wise and healthy to do some planning ahead, um, with um, the permission to um, to diverge from that. And so I think I'm in a space now that, um, I'm listening to God,
Hmm.
and yeah, I will continue growing my Juice Plus business and helping people, become the best, healthiest version of themselves. I'll continue with my life coaching, and helping them in every 8 areas of their life expand into their greatness. Um, and I have a couple new ventures that I'm exploring. One is, um, there's this show on Netflix called Love
Oh
Is
gosh.
Blind. And well, I don't watch Netflix because I'm always so active out there playing pickleball and exploring the world and stuff. As soon as Netflix announced that they were casting from Columbus, Ohio, then I immediately had 3 friends from different circles send me the application.
I thought you were kidding about that when you told me that you applied.
No. So if you see me on Love Is Blind,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
then you cannot ask me what happens at the end of the season, because I will have most likely signed an
NDA.
NDA, and that's assuming that they even accept my application onto the show. But
Oh, I'm definitely going to ask if you end up on it.
yeah, so I'm excited to see where that takes me. And again, making plans, but allowing God to direct your steps. So yeah, I would love to find true love and become a godly husband, and have kids of my own, and you know be a father, uh,
Hmm.
and God willing, if that's in the cards, great. And if not, um, that is, I I'm thoroughly enjoying life, and I'm happy wherever he takes me. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Henry, and twice, and sharing everything that you did. And do you have any parting words of wisdom for us or anybody that would watch in the future?
oh goodness, parting words of advice and wisdom. Um,
Or we can just tell another Henryism.
um, Gosh, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I could tell you all sorts of stuff, but um, you know, I'll end with this. This is one of my main themes this morning when I was teaching about um, longevity. is this common phrase that you've probably heard before, and you've probably even said it yourself, but it has so deep of a meaning that most of us have never thought about. It's this phrase of "you are what you eat." And I know some of you that are watching are thinking, "Oh, you are what you eat." That's that refers to, like, okay, I get it. Your food. I am what I eat. And but it goes so much deeper than that. There's so many layers. The first is the obvious, right? Every single part of your body, from conception to birth to who you are today, was literally made of the molecules that you put into your mouth. Nowhere else. Not what you breathe, not what you put on your skin, not what you and I know we can get into this, religious argument of, oh, well, God made you. Yes, he made you, and everything that you are touching right now, he made in the ground so you could eat, and now it's part of you. So we're all interconnected through that, but it goes deeper in that you are what your mind eats,
Mm-hmm.
which means that you are what you listen to, you are what you watch, you are what you read. So everything that in and around your surroundings, influences who you are. So, there's this, we can get in percentages all day, but 20% is genetics and 80% is lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you see, what you read, what you watch, what you listen to. But here's the biggest piece of it. You are who you surround yourself with. You're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with most. And you can literally measure this by looking at your calendar and seeing, I spent an hour with so-and-so the other day, and I spent 2 hours with so-and-so, and I spent an hour reading. So that's the author, right? If I spend an hour reading my Bible every day, then I'm spending time with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that might be one of my 5 people I spend most time with. And we have no choice but to become the average of the 5 people that we spend most time with. And we can look at that from 2 sides of the coin, right? We can look at it this side of the coin and say, oh, woe is me. I'm a victim because these are the people that are in my circles. And so I'm going to be this negative, and I'm going to, have these addictions and etc. Or we can look at that principle as an empowering one on this side of the coin. It's the same coin. And say, if I'm the average of the 5 people I spend most time with, then I can choose who I want to be, who I become by surrounding myself with those 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at that. I choose to look at that as an empowering thing. I pick and choose who I spend most time with based on who I want to become. And
That's a really good life principle.
That's where I'll leave it. You are what you eat.
There you are. How can people get in touch with you, or do you have your contact information on your YouTube page?
I don't know if I have it on my YouTube page, but I can put it.
Like an email or something, if somebody's interested in any of the different hats that you presented today.
Yeah, I actually had a QR code on my name tag that I just literally took off and put in my car. But I'll leave you a QR code, and that'll take you to my contact, and that you can get in touch with me on Facebook. My Facebook is really easy to remember. It's my name, Henry Lee Tower Garden. So facebook.com/Henry Lee Tower Garden. That's the same thing for my email, Henry Lee Tower Garden @gmail.com, which happens to be my website, Henry Lee towergarden.com. So it makes it pretty easy. As long as you remember my name's Henry Lee and I'm the Tower Garden guy.
Yep. right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. You're going to leave it there for tonight.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thank you.